Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Words of wisdom this morning. Never ever accept your dog's admiration as conclusive evidence that you are wonderful. Morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Oh, good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and, of course, a big fall tire sale going on right now. And some of our great advertisers we're going to be talking about later on this morning. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service. Call them at 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the phone lines and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You're the man.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wheels, if you can turn the feed line, you, others, just a little bit up on my ear, would you please?
Am I a little bit low?
Yeah, well, it wasn't you. It was also the music earlier. So just, if you can, tweak it just a touch.
Okay, yeah.
All right, it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to everybody by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Oh, my goodness, a lot of savings in October. That's right. They're having a huge fall sale all the way through the end of the month, because that's the month, October, that Kyle and Whitney Cheney were married. Oh, boy, you can save on all kinds of money at right there. Everything discounted in the store. Carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor items, whatever you need to make your house a home. Cheney Flooring and Home Design in Burley. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here is your weather as we hit midweek, and it looks like it's going to be nice as we head on into the weekend. Partly cloudy skies for today, high of 54 tonight, low of 36. Going to be slightly breezy, winds out of the west right around 12 miles an hour. Now, for the overnight lows, you still might want to consider covering your veggies because of the threat of frost if you haven't pulled your garden yet. Tomorrow looks like partly cloudy skies, high of 56, overnight low of 35. Friday, sunny and 65. And for the weekend, looks like sunny skies, highs are going to be in the low to mid-70s. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Gina. Brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Yep, look for that blue door. Right now, we're going to have this word for United States Senator Mike Crapo.
The freedoms we enjoy, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, are woven into this country's fabric. But when government red tape interferes with our way of life, costing jobs and livelihoods, Mike Crapo steps in. When Mike Crapo sees a problem, he gets everyone together and he fixes it. Just ask Brad Jensen of Ovid, Idaho.
My name is Brad Jensen. I've been the vice president of Jensen Lumber Company for 45 years. Senator Crapo hadn't have stepped in and helped, we would have been out of business probably a year or so ago. Senator Crapo has been extremely instrumental in providing jobs. Idaho has been depending on him a lot, and he's come through for us. When Senator Crapo says he will do something, he and his staff make it happen. Thank you, Senator Crapo, for all you do for us.
Fighting for Idaho, working for change. Mike Crapo. U.S. Senate.
There you go.
And I approve this message.
Paid for by Crapo for Senate.
Thank you very much. I jumped in a little quick there. Good morning, everybody. And don't forget what a day we've got today. Some real heavy hitters. Dave Vigo is going to be on the phone with us at 9:06 from Indianapolis, Indiana, talking about his fellow Indianan, and that is Mike Pence. And that should be really interesting. Both of them know each other quite well. Then Jack Johnson, running for Twin Falls County Commissioner, is going to be here at 9:30. And then Abby Johnson. This should really be interesting. Formerly with the Planned Parenthood organization, and boy, she is not now. And that's going to be very interesting. And then Marita Noon's going to give us an update about a big Washington, D.C. hearing on energy. So, woo! Got a full plate today. Don't miss a minute of it. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call on the landline, 678-0459, and they'll have what you need waiting on the counter for you. I mean, like if you want some furnace filters, little chilly out there this morning, wasn't it? Yes, it was. I went out and took my morning walk and thought, whoa, hurry up, Zeb. Anyway, they've got all your furnace filters, and they're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Also, real fast, and then I'm going to get to the subject matter of the day. Denny's Restaurant, we were over there last week for lunch bunch, and I'm sure my lunch bunchers would agree the food was phenomenal. Service absolutely fantastic, and we enjoy them. Thomas, Terry, the whole crew at 611 Overland in Burley. Don't forget, Denny's Restaurant is America's Diner. You stop in and see those good folks today, regardless of whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Denny's Restaurant. It wasn't vanilla. It was doggone good. Yes, it was. The vice presidential debate last night was excellent. Excellent. And Mike Pence, Trump's running mate, made Tim Kaine into a buffoon. And, of course, Kaine helped himself to that category quite often. Kaine, the Democrat, honestly looked like a clown looking for a circus. Now, I've talked to a lot of people, and this morning I've talked to some Democrats and I talked to some Republicans, and even the Democrats admitted, yeah, you know, he was weak. Kaine was weak. And also a weakness last night came from the CBS moderator, and she interrupted Mike Pence every single time that he started making a point on Hillary's email or Hillary's involvement in the foundation or Hillary's work or not working for the national and world security. I was outraged. Between Tim Kaine interrupting and the moderator interrupting, I think they interrupted Pence something like 70. Yep, that's right. 70 times last night. Now, honestly, when you look at the facial expressions and the body language, I know the Democrats are out there. They're going, you're just picking on us. Yes, I am picking on you because I thought Kaine was grade school. As a matter of fact, he looked like a first grader looking for a bathroom. Nervous. His eyes were nervous. His twitching, he just was totally uncomfortable. And some of the things that Kaine said last night really were very senseless and extremely shallow. So I guess in essence, there's no doubt in my mind that Mike Pence looked extremely, not just vice presidential, but extremely presidential. And one of the worst comments of the night last night, made by Kaine, was trying to tie Trump's taxes or not being involved with tax problems and paying taxes into 9/11. That was absolutely ridiculous. And another comment that was really, I thought, off the wall and in the gutter was Kaine saying that Trump has, and I'm paraphrasing, please, Trump has his own Mount Rushmore, and it's all with people like Putin and Gaddafi and others. That was gutter. That was really gutter. And I'll just sum it up by saying this, and then I want your calls and tell me what you thought. I thought that Kane, the Democrat, was trying to be an attack dog, but he ended up being a puppy wetting on the floor. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Berry Equipment and Rental, and 3 locations to serve you: South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Now, many times we've had Rod and Juan on the program talking about their repair shop, and they can fix anything from small engines to heavy equipment. They're good, and they have the equipment to do and get the job done right. All the equipment rentals, retail equipment sales, everything right there at Berry Equipment and Rental. Stop in, and they'd love to serve you. Once again, South Lincoln and Jerome, and Addison Avenue West in Twin, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Berry Equipment and Rental, absolutely the best. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hello, Sir Bell. Say, I have some concerns about this election and the Hispanics here in Burley, Idaho.
All right.
Hispanic, a conservative Christian Republican. And a lot of people that are not Hispanics kind of think that I'm not qualified to vote. I've been in this area since 1962.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, that's a little concern of mine. Because if we don't have the Hispanics on board here in Burley, Idaho, we might lose the election.
Let me ask you a question, sir. Right there, you bring up an excellent point. How can the Republican Party, by trying to be tough on illegal immigration, how can they still try to go out and solicit the Hispanic vote?
Because it's very easy. Most of the Hispanics are trying to come here illegally, because of the money involved and because of the farmers needing more Hispanics, more migrants,
Yeah.
I've gone to a lot of changes in this area here for the last 60 years, close to 60 years, and I've seen what's going on. But what really tickles me is that in spite of all my years here, I have no problem, I'm originally from Texas.
Yes.
Born and raised there. I go back about, so many generations, I can begin to count them. I look more Indian than Hispanic. As a matter of fact, I'm over 6 feet tall. I'm a big man. So everybody can see me as an Indian better than a Hispanic. But my concern is that we need to change our attitude to a lot of Hispanics in the area. Because there are a lot of Hispanics that are going to vote for Donald Trump. Yours truly for one.
Well, let me ask you this. What kind of an attitude change do we, as a congregate number, what do we need to do? How is our attitude wrong, or how can we make it right? Explain that quickly, please.
Well, I will probably start in Christianity. This is where my attitude changed. I was in Texas, and I've been through a lot of discrimination in my life. But what changed my views on a lot of things was I don't judge people by their color. I remember one time I had a lot of good friends in the white community. We were in Walla Walla, Washington, back in 1958, and we were working for this farmer that was an ex that changed my views completely about the races, about the race, about my attitude. He came out helping us, and it was unheard of being raised in Texas, where there was a lot of that back in the early 50s and 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So there is such a thing as I experienced it at both sides. It's a global. There's not. You can call it racism is a human trait. You might say being racist is a human trait. But it can be resolved by reading the Bible and by taking a different view on godly views.
I agree.
I became very Christianity that saved me from my attitudes.
I agree. Caller, I appreciate you. Every time you call in, I learn something from you, and I really appreciate that. And I don't want you to hesitate to call. You're always welcome here. God bless you, and thank you. I got some other callers stacked up, so thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. You know, I want to say something real quick, and then I'm going to do a commercial and then get this next caller on. I had one of my best friends here last night, and he is Hispanic. I don't look at people because of their color or their race. I mean, if they're nice to me and I'm nice to them and we're friends, who cares? But that's not what society is today. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later on. But right now, I'm going to do this good word, and then we're going to have that next caller. Hold on, caller. I promise you're next. Don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Holy smokes, are they good. I have another appointment down there tomorrow at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Yes. And they are helping me get back to being me. They can do the same for you. Oh, my goodness, the hydrotherapy pool, along with all the great exercises, everything. You be sure and give them a call. Set up an appointment at 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, absolutely the best. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, watching Tim Kaine last night reminded me of a bulldog on a leash trying to attack a smaller dog, but secretly he doesn't want you to release him. He just wants to get out there and act like he's going to bite you.
Well, the body language last night of Tim Kaine was one of a man that was extremely nervous. The twitching and the swallowing, the eyebrows, the nervous eyes. And Pence was very deliberate, very, very in control. And I just thought Tim Kaine made an absolute jackass out of himself, which I didn't mind at all.
You know, the one thing I'd like to compare it to is like, they were both lawyers and they were arguing their case to the judge. You know, Tim Kaine tries to force the thing on you, and Pence tries to reason with you.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think it's a very good point, because every time Kaine made an assertion or an allegation or some outlandishly stupid remarks like the Mount Rushmore remark, that was the one last night that put me over the edge. And I really condemned Tim Kaine last night. That was, the Democrats accused Trump of all the insults. My goodness, listen to the insults that were hurled last night. They brought up that Trump has said this, he's called them pigs, and that he's got his own Mount Rushmore with Gaddafi and Putin. I mean, it was absolutely pathetic, and I really commend Mike Pence for staying in the same lane and went right ahead, very in control, and put Tim Kaine down.
He did an excellent job of defending Trump.
I thought he did too.
The commentators now are trying to say that, I don't know exactly how to explain that, but it was 3-1. It was Hillary and Kaine and Pence that were ganging up on
No.
Trump.
No. You said that wrong. You said that wrong, Keith. It was Kaine, the moderator, and other in the news media ganging up on Pence last night. The moderator didn't do Pence any favors. She interrupted him so many times when he was in the middle of his points of discussion, and I don't think she ever interrupted Kaine when he was making a finalized point to the question that she had asked. And I thought she was extremely poor and absolutely not worthy of being a political moderator.
She was biased, and there's just no other way to say it.
I agree. Keith, I got to run and do a commercial break. Thank you, my dear friend. God bless. Thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yeah, I thought that she, the CBS moderator last night, absolutely... she wasn't qualified for that job. She wasn't forceful when she needed to be forceful, and yet she's an avowed Democrat, and she showed it last evening. Don't forget our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with the Dr. Christine Pickup, the only locally owned and independent hearing healthcare practice in southern Idaho. And you had better check on a hearing screening today. Yes, call 312-0957. 312-0957. They're located right across from the Minidoka Hospital emergency room, and it's not going to hurt you. That hearing screen is kind of fun, but it will be very serious in telling you what maybe the problems are with your hearing. So please contact them today, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Thank you, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
You know, Zeb, I listened to that last night, and my part of it was toward the end of that when they were talking about their faith, and Pence give his deal about the abortion and the partial birth, and give a reason of a different way of going as far as the adoption instead of abortion, and he was dead set against partial birth abortion. And then Kane goes on that he's a Christian and he believes this and he believes that, but yet he still believes that it's okay it sounded like it was still okay with abortion. How can you be a Christian and still believe that abortion is a right and should be practiced?
I agree with you.
That's what set me back, Zeb.
No, I totally agree with your comments, and you're spot on, sir. I don't know who you are. I can't tell by your voice. I don't know if we've ever met or not, but I totally agree with you. The political aspect of what Tim Kaine said, and I'm summing it up and I'm giving another paraphrase, but if you don't agree with me, tell me. I thought that Tim Kaine's speech was, oh yeah, but here's my beliefs, but as a politician, I will go along just to get along. And I found that repulsive. I like to work with people that are going to stand up for their convictions. If they don't like something, they're not going to be involved in something. They're not going to support something. Those are the kind of people I stand up and I support. But Tim Kaine showed last night he's a willow in the wind to go along just to get along.
I tend to go that way too, Zeb. If you straddle the fence and you don't stand for anything, you get drugged back and forth from one way. You never know which way you're going to go.
That's right.
And that Mike Pence stood his ground and said that's the way he believes and planted his foot. I'd much rather vote for somebody like that than wishy-washy.
Well, yeah, and the whole thing was Kaine's demeanor last night. There are some that have said that Kaine is not like that in the real world. Hey, wait a minute. That proves all the more your point and my point. If they're going to be phonies and they're not going to show their true personality in a debate, why in the world would you ever want to vote for somebody that's so plastic?
Well, yeah, but he goes right along with Hillary because she's the same way.
I agree. I agree.
So,
all right, sir.
Have a good day, Zeb.
God bless you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. The man's spot on right there. Very well stated. Excuse me. Calls welcome. 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I hope is coming in, I want to remind you, too, every Monday we give away a dozen cookies at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, what a bakery. What a restaurant. My goodness, you better get on over there. You'll enjoy Sophie's Chatterbox on the square in Rupert. Also, again, a reminder, Ramsey Heating and Electric can offer rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Oh, yes, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps. You and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them today at Ramsey Heating and Electric as they, along with Lennox, save you money. Excuse me. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It was kind of fun, though, to watch the line accounts of how the Democrats and the Republicans and the independents thought the debate went last night. And what I thought was really neat, when you know those line graphs on TV, you know, the blue line for the Democrats and then the red line for the Republicans, and what is it, the yellow line for the independents. When Mr. Pence was making rebuttals against some of the absolutely stupid allegations of Cain, the Republican red line shot up through the roof. But what was also interesting, so did the independents. They went right along with the red line, the GOP. Now, many people have said it's going to be the independents in this country that are going to push Trump over the top over Hillary. But at the same time, the red and the yellow lines were going through the roof. The blue line was like they died. It was flat across the bottom of the screen in the F zone. Seriously, A, B, C, D, E, F, holy moly, while the Republicans and the independents were saying, hey, that's great on Pence's rebuttal back to Cain, the Democrats just sat there like they didn't even get a beep, beep on the screen. Man, they hated every minute of it. I loved it. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. While I'm waiting, don't forget to Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport, and Minnecasia Sales sponsors Dr. History. Man, oh man, he was here yesterday at 10:06. Every Tuesday, don't forget it. Brought to you by Minnecasia Sales. Zach and the rest of the crew, all your lumber needs, your windows with Western Windows to save on your heating bills, you stop in and see them today. Minnecasia Sales in Burley, really nice people. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. I think Huckabee in the post-debate kind of summed it up. He said that Cain went away hungry as Pence had eaten his lunch. And I thought that pretty well summed it up. But the Alinsky model was in effect last night because the demonization, the lies, those are two main tenets of the Alinsky rules for radicals. And of course, Cain himself is tied right in with the Muslim Brotherhood. And he's been a big supporter of them. He's gotten a lot of campaign contributions from George Soros. Surprise, surprise. And also some of these foreign groups that are supporting him. And, of course, with Hillary bringing in or accepting through the Clinton Foundation $25 million from the Saudis, what are they getting for their money? Well, they're getting an open door policy of bringing in Syrian refugees, and they're not bringing any into their country or any of those people over there. They're sending them all over here so they can take over by, population jihad and terrorist jihad as well.
Well, listen, wait a minute, Adrian.
Summed it up at the very end when the pro-life stance. Yeah. I just thought that was wonderful the way he got into that, and there really wasn't much Cain could come back with on that. But Cain interrupting over and over and over. And it was just part of the Alinsky demonization and just lies. I mean, he couldn't get away from Trump's tax deal. Because, it's just like that's an important issue concerning the security of this country.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable where these people come from.
Well, it's going to be really interesting over the next couple of days to see how the Democrats leading up to Sunday's debate are going to spin the debate with Trump, with Cain and, of course, Pence. It's going to be really interesting. You're spot on in your assessment. I've got to get this word in, Adrian, but please keep calling. I love your information.
One last thing. If Trump takes on Hillary the way that Pence reacted to Cain, Trump will win the election, or win the debate at least. What we have to be concerned about is voter fraud.
Yeah.
I think it was Lenin said that I don't care who votes, I care who counts the votes.
That's exactly right.
And that's really something we need to be concerned about.
I agree. God bless you, man. Good thoughts. Good thoughts. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Adrian Arp right there. There was another thing that was said last night during the debates, and I brought it up on this program many, many times. And for those that are daily listeners, you know I'm telling the truth. I have mentioned months and months and months ago about the refugees fleeing their countries, about how I thought that was based on incompetence and almost idiocy. Everybody should be concentrating on trying to help those countries with safe zones. That was brought up last night, and I thought that Mike Pence did an excellent job in explaining it, how it should work, and how those people that are refugees now coming here could stay in their own country and flourish in their own country and eventually take back their own country from the bad guys. But there again, therein lies the problem. The Democrats don't like that. They want the involvement and the recruiting, if you will, of all immigrants, illegal, etc., to come here under the banner of the Democratic Party and then owe an obligation to the Democratic Party. And I thought Mike Pence last night made it poignantly clear that we should be working harder to keep these people in their own country. He did a good job, very good job. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know who else does a very good job? Well, I'll tell you, it's Ark Animal Hospital. Oh, these are nice people. Doggone. I have not had a chance to literally meet them face to face. But I'll tell you what, their theme sums it up. They have warm hearts for cold noses. That's right, Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Heyburn. And it's a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small, they love them all. And they're very, very good at taking care of your pets. So please stop in or give them a call, 678-1177, Ark Animal Hospital in Heyburn. Yep, it's true, warm hearts for cold noses. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Also want to remind you again that on Thursdays at 9:12, right after the Chamber Report, we have the Denny's Football Trivia Contest of the Week. Don't forget you can win an original Grand Slam breakfast from Denny's at 611 Overland and Burley if you answer the question correctly. Okay, don't forget that. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle. I want to preface my remarks on this next story. It's not really a story. It's kind of a summation of how things are going in this country. I was given a story about a man by the name of Fred Reed. And normally, and I got to be very honest with you folks, normally when I get a lot of these internet stories, etc., either we snopes them to make sure that they're truthful and verified, or I just throw them in the garbage. Because as I stated, I am not going to put something on the radio that is not verified and bona fide. Too many times, and I just issue this as a warning, too many times people just see something on the internet and they go, oh, that's gospel, phew, and they send it to me. Well, verify it first, or you know that I will. All that being said, the reason I brought up this story, and I know there are those in the audience that after they hear some of my comments this morning, they are very likely to call me a racist, a bigot, and a hate monger, but be real careful. You never do that to my face. This man, Fred Reed, has written a story about the problems in America with minorities and how minorities have come into power to basically take over and run our political aspects in this country and control both the parties in this country and even control the presidency in this country. And this gentleman, Fred Reed, when I read this story, I thought, whoa, there are a lot of thinking points in here that absolutely need to be discussed if we're going to have a fair, balanced, and hopefully solve problems on racial relationships in this country. Now, there are bad people, regardless of skin color. But the way things are going in this country today, and I throw this out for food for thought, that minorities, people of different color, basically are in control because they're calling, like an umpire, the strikes and the foul balls. And they're being so demanding in what they want and what they believe is correct for them that the majorities are kowtowing to them out of fear. You don't have to look very far to see problems in this country with voter ID. And when voter ID started coming up, it was the black minority that said, oh, no, well, we can't have that. No, we're going to start yelling and screaming, and we don't want voter ID. No. And then when the issue came up about the Confederate flags, and I thought back about this, and I went through some of my files and found some of the stories, it was the black minorities that said, and I'm not saying all of them, please do not misunderstand me, but I'm saying the ones that are out there with the race baiting and the hating. And they said the Confederate flag's got to go. Then they started in on some of the books on the shelves at all libraries across the United States since I was a little boy, Huckleberry Finn. And they really threw a fit about how that should be banned or taken off the shelves, never to be read again. And when you think about this, there was a line in this piece, this article by Fred Reed, that I want you to think about. And I want you to honestly give me your appraisal on this, whether you agree with me or disagree with me or are mad at me. Fred said in his article, America is being dominated from the slums. I want you to think about that and give me a call. Time for the weather quickly, brought to you by our friends at the Urgent Cares. And today's the big day, October 5th. They're having a flu shot special for $15 a flu shot. Boy, that's a cheaper price and great service from the Urgent Cares. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, Twin Falls, and Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Don't forget to go to their website, urgentcareofidaho.com. Check them out because minor emergencies, major care. They can help you. Here's Gina with the weather.
Here is your weather as we hit midweek, and it looks like it's going to be nice as we head on into the weekend. Partly cloudy skies for today, high of 54 tonight, low of 36. It's going to be slightly breezy, winds out of the west right around 12 miles an hour. Now, for the overnight lows, you still might want to consider covering your veggies because of the threat of frost if you haven't pulled your garden yet. Tomorrow looks like partly cloudy skies, high of 56, overnight low of 35. Friday, sunny and 65. And for the weekend, looks like sunny skies, highs are going to be in the low to mid-70s. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Okay, Gina, thank you very much. Brought to you by the Urgent Cares. Kyle James and his outstanding people at Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care in Twin Falls, and Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. And today is the flu shot special day. You be sure and stop in. Caller, good morning. You are on the air.
Morning, Zeb. Marty Mickelson. How are you today?
I'm good, Marty. Quickly, go ahead, buddy.
I'm out in Ohio, just giving an update. The last time we talked about the difference in bumper stickers, and I was thinking this morning as we traveled around, it's not like 1 to 10 Trump in favor of Hillary. It's more like 100 to 1, and it's still the same thing. There's a few little spots to a few Hillarys, but it's just out in the country where where folks like us, country folks, and small towns and that, it's 90% Trump, 95% Trump. If he doesn't win this thing, it's fraud. I just don't know anything else to say.
Marty, real quick, let me ask you this. When you stop at the various truck stops around the country or various restaurants, etc., are you hesitant to bring up a conversation about this, or are people ready to give you their opinion as to who's good and who's bad?
Oh, people are ready. I'm not hesitant. I'll tell anybody or ask anybody anything, and I've made it a point to do so, but people are, the people we deal with, they're working people that want to make their own living. It's not people that are looking for a handout.
Yeah.
So, everybody we deal with and talk to is, they're pro-America, they're pro-get to work and get busy, and I feel like that we need a CEO running the country, not a politician.
Marty, real quick, what about the debate that took place, the first debate with Hillary and Trump, and then last night with Kaine and Pence? I thought that Pence absolutely destroyed Kaine. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. There's, as we talked this morning, and we didn't watch a lot of that, we just felt like that there's a reason that Hillary picked her anyway, because, he's in that same category, and Pence could that other ticket, they could just destroy him. And
yeah.
They need to get a little bit better organized and bring up some points and just hammer that stuff home. But
absolutely,
I think if it's done right, that there's a lot of progress that can be made in the next couple of weeks.
Hey, Marty, do me a favor, and Sunday night is absolutely a very important debate, and I think the crucial debate, if Trump's going to actually overthrow this Democratic campaign with Hillary, he's got to be dominant in the Sunday night debate. Let me know either Monday or Tuesday what you're hearing on the road about that debate, because that will be a better indicator than what really the political pundits are going to say on the various networks. Can you call me back and let me know on that?
Yeah, I'll talk to you first week. I'm going to be home. I've been gone 3 weeks. I'm going to be home Friday or Saturday, and then I'm going to spend a little bit of time at home. But we'll touch base first week.
All right, Marty Mickelson, God bless you, man. Drive carefully. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good friend right there. Absolutely, Marty Mickelson, giving us kind of a roving reporter's viewpoint of what's going on, honestly, out in the hinterland with the Trump versus the Hillary signs and all the different people that he visits with, etc. He really can give a pulse of what's going on in America. I mean, one day he might be in Ohio. The next day he might be in New Jersey. The day after that he might be down in Florida, and then back to Texas, etc. And he's getting an honest appraisal of what's going on with you, me, and the common Joe folks that are worried about this next election. I appreciate that. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget, again, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with their qualified Lennox home comfort systems, and you can get rebates on those qualified systems. Gas furnaces, air conditioners, heat pumps. You and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call Ramsey's at 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. You have to be sometimes a little concerned when you have a program like I do, that no matter what you say and do, there is going to be a certain group of people that are going to denigrate you and denounce you no matter what you say. But I think that we need to start having more food for thought about what really is going on in America today. And really the demands that are being made are by minorities for us, the majority, to change. I want to refer back to this piece because I want you to think about this. Honestly, this 5-page dissertation by a gentleman by the name of Fred Reed. And he is a former writer and columnist for the Washington Times newspaper. And I want to read a paragraph. These are his words, not mine, but it's great food for thought. Blacks now control the presidency, and thus, most importantly, the attorney generalship. In the staggering the staggering political power of blacks is most evident. Obama was elected because he was black. An equally unqualified and negligible white politician would have had no chance. He is now fiercely pushing the most profound transformation of America that's ever been attempted by opening the floodgates to immigration from the entire South. All of our borders are open. And to effect this end, he apparently will simply ignore Congress and the Constitution. The people will not be consulted. Laws will be ignored. Isn't that what's happening? You know, like I said earlier, I very seldom ever pay attention to some of the stuff on the internet, but this one here was very thought-provoking as to problems that are being incurred, problems that are right now daily going on in our society, and problems that people are too cowardly to address. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, I'm probably beating the pot. I didn't hear the first part of the show because I slept in. I stayed up too late watching that darn debate over and over. I was so upset with that narrator. I think they ought to bar her from being on the air forever. And I kind of got a feeling they ought to fine CBS about $40 trillion for putting on such a horrible, lopsided piece of garbage, overrun the other guy debate. I felt that it was just ridiculous, the amount of interruptions, and always changing the subject back to the tax. And you know, a few things. All we hear is over and over and over the same words and the same garbage.
You know, Jerry,
pretty upset the first time I heard it. Second time, the other guy really came across with his points pretty good to me. You know, he was overrun by the big mouth, but he still got his words in, I think, a lot better, and what he had to say better than the other guy.
I agree. Jerry, thank you.
I was pretty upset with that debate. I don't think I've ever heard such poor running of it, the person that was moderating it or whatever you call it. And I just felt it was just a terrible, awful job.
All right, Jerry, I appreciate your comments, and
I was pretty upset.
I can tell. I agree with your comments, and I say always to you, Jerry, thank you for your input. Thank you for your call. I got to run into a commercial here real quick and then go to the news. Thank you very much. God bless.
Oh, Zeb, do me a favor, will you?
Yeah.
Please quit running.
Okay.
May the Lord bless you and your whole world.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. The only thing I would disagree with Jerry on is, no, I thought it was good the way it worked out. A lot of people are probably raising their eyebrows and say, what do you mean good? No, I think it showed. I think it showed the absolute one-sidedness of that moderator. I think it showed her incompetence. I think it showed, without a doubt, that Tim Kaine, with his nervous twitches in his eyes and everything else in his body language, highly unqualified. I think it showed great negativity towards that side, the Democratic Party. And I think it really showed the holes in their screen door. So with that being said, I thought it was good that we had that debate last night the way it was. Okay, don't forget the big fall tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the very best of tires, and I mean that. And a lot lot of them are on sale right now with this big fall tire sale, including the Ultra Z900 for your cars. Woo, baby, all-season tread, 65 to 80,000 mile warranty, depending on your driving habits. Holy mackerel! And, of course, too, along with the big tire sale, the best in brake service and front-end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries as the weather's getting colder. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Our major sponsor, the best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We're going to have a good word for Senator Craig, and then we'll go to CBS News. Okay, here we go. Saddle up, ride along for another hour. Zeb at the Ranch on a Wednesday, October 5. Already brought to you by our main sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is landing ahead, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
I don't know how many people have called me and said, are you really on the route service for Western Waste? Yes, we are. Absolutely excellent. You can almost set your watch by these people. They're so good. And, of course, they've got all the different size dumpsters. In my case, I'm going to have the extra large come out here so I can fill it up. We're cleaning out this office. Whoo, after 24 years, this place, yeah, it needs a real big dumpster. Anyway, they can help you with all of that, along with all the porta potties and the Go Mini storage units. Oh, please call them today at 734-6969. Always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, serving you. Want to remind you, too, again, about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps. You and your family will enjoy the comfort. Oh, yes, sirree, Bobby. You call them today at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. Well, real quick, before we get our first guest on the air for this hour, a dear friend of mine, Dave Beagle, stand by. I want to talk to you a little bit about Hanson Mortuary with our dear friend Joel Heward. He is the manager along with his family and staff. They really care. And they really serve. Absolutely, at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And they can travel to the rural towns and churches to help you and your family with all the arrangements when there's the passing of a loved one. And don't forget, they always uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please, write the number down and call 436-5636. 436-5636, Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. I have been looking forward to having this gentleman on my program this morning purely because of his insight and knowledge of a man that was on the vice presidential debate last night, and that's Mike Pence. And I want to say good morning to a dear friend, Dave Beagle from Indianapolis, Indiana. Good morning, David. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you doing?
Actually, I feel like I could run through the forest and never touch the ground. I'm very, very happy about that debate last night because I said this earlier. I thought that debate last night with Mike Pence, in his demeanor, very calm, very direct, and very straightforward, he made a shambles of the circus clown Tim Kaine and the Democrats and Hillary.
Yeah, I thought Mike did a good job. As you know, I know Mike, and that There's a couple times I wish he would have spoken up a little bit more, and maybe made a couple more comments. But I thought overall he did a good job, and that's typical of Mike. He is very professional in how he handles things, and I hope Trump woke up and noticed that.
Okay, but now what were some of the shortcomings or not being able to expand more on some of the subjects? What did you want to hear that you didn't hear?
Well, I think when, Kane started talking about, I trust Hillary and, with my son, he's in the military and that. And if I was Pence, I probably would have said, based on what we know about Benghazi, you feel comfortable with that? And I would have put him on the defensive a little bit. I wish he just did a few things like that, but he was very good about deflecting all the crass stuff about that Kane brought up in his 6 points about Trump, and so I thought overall he did a great job, and hopefully he will calm Trump down, and Trump in his next debate will do more of that type of thing and increase his percentage against Hillary.
No, I absolutely agree. One of the things I said last hour, and we're good friends, you can feel free to correct me or make sure that you don't agree with my statement, is I thought that Tim Kaine was trying to go out of his personality and be a mean attack dog last night. But in my comment last hour, by trying to be an attack dog, I thought he actually ended up being a puppy wetting on the floor.
I like that. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's something I wanted to talk about. The true fact about this thing is they set him up with this agenda and these tactics, and this is what the left and the union bosses do. And it's just like his over-talking, interrupting Pence all the time, even the moderator, and the 6 points he wanted to attack Trump on, and the fact that Trump and Pence, they don't care about the American people and Social Security. I mean, these are all things they do. They throw out lies and misinformation because, and Pence, he did a good job of this on a couple of them. I just wish he had been a little bit more verbose maybe on it. He says, no, what you're talking about is not what we said. Those are lies. And I wish he would have, like I said, been a little stronger on his response on that. But the tactics used by Kane last night are typical of what you see out of these people.
Yeah, I thought that Kane, and I lost any and all respect I might have had for the man, really jumped into the gutter when he started bringing up remarks like this one, and I'm paraphrasing, that Trump's Mount Rushmore would include the heads that he worships of Putin, Gaddafi, and others. I thought that was gutter from the bottom up.
It is, Zeb, and again, and I know that your listeners probably get tired of hearing me saying this, but I went through this with the SEIU, and I understand this stuff because they did the same things talking about me, stuff that was truly just purely not true, is misinformation, it was lies, and what they're trying to do is paint you as a bad person, that you're going to do bad things, and you don't care about other people in this country or employees in my case or whatever it may be, and because they know there's a certain percent of the population out there that is gullible and naive enough, they'll buy into this stuff.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that what you saw last night from your friend and acquaintance, you know him, you've talked to him on a personal level, that Mike Pence basically, this is my opinion again, I thought he set himself up so well to possibly be a strong front runner for even 2020?
Yeah, I think so. I think Mike has the disposition and personality to do so. I do think he needs to be a little bit stronger at times, as I've said, and I've noticed that. And I'll give you an example. I go to the Republican dinners here in Indianapolis, and a couple of years ago, Mike Pence and Governor Walker from Wisconsin both spoke, and Mike did a good job. I was happy with what he said, and but he used notes in that a lot, and he wasn't. He's kind of monotone. Okay, Walker gets up, and Walker does everything He doesn't use notes or a teleprompter and everything, and his tone is such that when he's highlighting specific things, he kind of picks up the pace and the volume a little more verbose about it, so people can really understand what he's talking about and what his priorities are. And I'd just like to see Mike do a little more of that.
Earlier this morning, I had a gentleman call me from back. He was traveling through, I think, Ohio, and he has traveled all over the United States. And he called me and said, Zeb, I've kind of taken a little survey. I asked him to do this for me a couple of weeks ago. He says, I've taken a little survey, and he said, you would be amazed. He said the general populace, the signs in the yards, the signs on the front of businesses, etc., and the people that I talk to in all these communities, he said it's 90% Trump all over the United States. Are you getting the same feel back in Indiana?
I am seeing more signs with Trump and other things, and I think that feels good, but I still think that Trump has to stay on course, and he has to improve his how he appears and how he's received by the people, because I think it's going to be a close race, and he needs all the percentage points he can get, especially in the swing states. Now, having said that, and I think he needs to appeal to the African American community and the Hispanic community and all that. I think he has to get out and do more of a door-to-door campaign on those type of things. And but having said that, I've talked to some of our employees, and we have employees from all different ethnic and religious backgrounds. And actually, my wife was speaking to one of our Hispanic employees yesterday, and she says I'm all for Trump. She says, and I am getting all my friends and relatives on board for him because I believe in what he's doing. We need a businessman running this country and making it great again. And she was very, very positive. And my wife asked her about, well, what about people have come in here illegally? And she says that's wrong. She says I came in here legally, and I agreed to the conditions of this country, and that I would do the right things, and I would vote, and I would uphold this country. And she says people coming illegally don't do that, and we need to close our borders and get these people under wrap. And she also knows that these people that come in illegally artificially lower wages in this country.
Yeah. Dave, last night I was flipping the dial, and I caught three different moderators or pundits, you might say, and they were all based on the liberal persuasion. And they're making it sound like it's a done deal. It's too late for voters to change their mind, and that this next debate on Sunday night is nothing more than just being the false front of an old Western building. They just don't think it's going to change anything. We are about 30 days away in round figures from the next election of importance. Is it too late for Trump to really put the attack on and emerge number one?
No, it's not. And actually, I think it's this is one of the most critical times, because I think this is when Romney actually lost the election, because he did pretty well in the first debate.
Yep.
Because he was more aggressive. He was went on the offense, and he had Obama backpedaling in that, and that's what he needed to continue to do, and he didn't do that. And I think I've told you this before. I spoke to him about it after his second debate, and to his campaign committee. I told him, you have to go back the way you were in the first debate. You have to be on the offensive. And they said, no, we need to be nice. And that's not true. You have to be professional, and you have to state things factually, and you can't be ad lib, and you have to go on the offensive. And that's what Trump needs to do these next couple. And he has to look presidential up there. Don't slump and don't scowl.
Amen. The body language last night of Kane was one of a nervous Nelson. I mean, his eyebrows were twitching and his neck kept turning in his collar, and he acted like a puffed up toad. And the same demeanor on the other side with Pence was one of cool, calm, the boat's going to float attitude, and I thought that told a lot of the story last night.
Well, you're exactly right, and I believe in body language. As a businessman, and when I sit down and deal with people, whether they're customers or vendors or whoever, and we negotiate things and that. I really take into account body language because I think that tells people a lot more. And again, that's why Trump really needs to get his cleaned up. And when he goes on stage, he looks positive. He's smiling. He projects warmth to the people.
Yep.
And he looks like a president.
One thing I wanted to say, one of their remarks last night in questions about faith and how it's applicable to politics, etc., and here's what I saw and heard. You tell me if I'm wrong. I heard the response of Kane on the Democrats, and he said he was so involved in his faith, etc., etc., but he said he didn't let politics act or sway him because of where he had to go to honor the majority. And then the answer from Pence last night was so much different, that his faith is his number one and everything else comes secondary. In other words, it looked like Kane was saying, well, I just get along and go along and I do whatever they tell me. But the other side with Pence said, no, I believe in my faith, and that's going to dictate how I act, and nothing's going to sway me. Did you get the same attitude?
Well, absolutely, and this is typical of the left and what they do, because they're out there trying to buy votes. And instead of really explaining to the American people who they are and what their vision is for this country. And again, this is the same tactics that the SEIU used to try and buy votes. And people have to understand that these people aren't out there because they want to do what's right for this country and make America great again. They're out there just so they can stay in office and enjoy their popularity and their lifestyle and income and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, back to Kane and his eyebrows twitching and that, I agree with you. I thought he looked like a bobblehead doll.
The moderator left a lot to be desired last night. This lady was way out of her league. She was in single A ball, and they were playing major leagues last night. And she just absolutely didn't understand. She showed her allegiance to the Democratic Party, and Pence was interrupted 70-plus times last night. That is unbelievable. And she showed that she is a Democrat, she's voting Democrat, and she's swayed by the Democrats. Did you get the same attitude?
Oh, absolutely. And, that's what they do, and that's the way they are. That's their tactics. And the American people have to understand it. And Pence and Trump have to understand that. And and Pence did a good job at times. He says, please quit talking over me. Let me finish. Yep. And, the other thing I thought he could have said is, the first question of the night when they come out and ask a particular question, Kane went first, all he wanted to talk about was, the problems with Trump and his campaign, things he was doing and all. He didn't answer the question on, I think it was on terrorism and other stuff in the world and world things. All he wanted to talk about was his attacks on Trump. In other words, what I'm saying is they didn't answer the question. They said what they wanted to say, and this, again, is their tactics.
Absolutely. Dave, what's the attitude back in Indiana and around all the different places that you frequent, whether it's Colorado, Florida, etc., about the voter ID? We're hearing so much, the hue and cry across the land, oh, it's discriminatory, why we can't make those people go get IDs. They've had 4 years of sitting on their Wrangler pockets, and they could have gone and got an ID. What is this deal about how the GOP is being so restrictive and limiting people to vote?
Well, it's very simple. They don't want this to happen because they want to bring in people that aren't legal to vote. In my blogs, when I talked about Harry Reid getting elected in Nevada, the SEIU did that, bringing people in that weren't either registered or even eligible to vote. And they want this open system. In fact, they want to go to voting online. And they want to do this, Zeb. And again, I believe I had it in one of my blogs. I know I talked to a lady on the radio about it one day. But she worked for the SEIU, and they had some type of voting online out in California. and the SEIU came to her house, made her get on the computer and get on and vote online for who they wanted to be voted for in politics in this particular election. And this is what the left wants to happen so they can control this country.
How do they cry foul on this thing, though, Dave? I mean, I don't understand it. I was reading a story I found yesterday about how recent court rulings blocked ID requirements in North Carolina and North Dakota. Why? You have to use an ID for almost everything else in life, 24/7, 365. But all of a sudden, these people are crying foul because they say, I can't get to the bureau and get an ID. Why, my goodness, I've only had 4 years. That's just pure laziness and nothing more than the lamest excuse.
Well, that's right, and again, it's all about, they come back, think about how often they use the term fairness, being fair, and they do that, whether it's letting people into this country, and we got to be fair to them. We can't look at them because they're from certain countries or anything like that. Right. And this again all comes back to votes, and this is what's really critical about this election is that the Supreme Court, we really need a president in there that's going to put somebody in there that stops a lot of this stuff, and we start moving this down the ladder, because we've got too many in the appeals courts and other district courts around the country that are allowing these things to happen, people to vote without ID.
Okay, well, listen, my friend, we're going to be talking to you next week after the second debate, and which I hope is a debacle for the Democrats. And also, we're going to be talking to you after the Colts play again. How are things in the Indianapolis camp today, my friend?
People aren't too happy, and there's a lot of calls for a new coach.
Yeah, I've heard that
because the head coach of the Colts is a nice guy, but that's the problem. He's too nice, and he's kind of a guy that likes to delegate and really doesn't follow up on things. And you need, in sports, as you know, you need a head coach that's involved and that will make the tough decisions.
Absolutely. Well, my Green Bay Packers play the Giants on Sunday, and as a matter of fact, my guest for the next half hour just walked in, and he has been noted to wear a Green Bay Packer helmet. So you got two Packer backers here this morning, Dave Bigo. Good luck to you and the Colts. Good luck to you in your business, and thank you for sharing all of your attitudes and opinions this morning.
Well, thank you much, and I'm a Packer backer after I'm a Colt backer. You know that.
Okay, but yeah, I still got both uniforms, and I wear them frequently, and I promise if the Colts go on a roll, I'll still wear your jersey. Thank you so much.
All right, you have a great week.
All right, God bless you, man. Dave Bigo, Indianapolis, Indiana, one of the greatest entrepreneurs in America, and very well voiced and versed in political opinion. We're going to have our next guest with us in just a moment. Stand by. Don't forget Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness, have they got mattresses, all kinds of different, very comfy, will get you to sleep mattresses every night. Oh, my goodness, you better get in there and check it out. And all the recliners. I've said this so many times before. They have an excellent selection of recliners, whether you're tall, whether you're short, whether you're skinny, or you know the rest. Anyway, they can have a recliner that's going to fit you. Stop in, check out the dining room sets, everything to beautify and make your home more comfortable. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. You be sure and stop in and see those good folks today. You know what? My guest that's up next half hour, I know he agrees with me that if you want to have some fun, and if you want to get outside and really see the beauty of the fall here in southern Idaho, get a four-wheeler. Oh, yeah. Let's ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. My goodness, they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and they're having a closeout on the 2016 models of four-wheelers and side-by-sides. Save you money. And the new 17s are coming in. And they've got a great accessory department, super service department. Yep, it's all there at Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. You stop over and see them today. While you're in that area, I want to remind you, too, The professionals in the insurance business are serving you. Who is that? Well, you know that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more to make sure that your family, you, and your business are protected. Please stop in and see the folks that are dedicated and responsive to your needs. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, 436-4424. Well, lo and behold, a gentleman in the studio right now that is running for Twin Falls County Commissioner, and we're very blessed to have him with us. Pull the mic up real close, and good morning to Jack Johnson. How are you?
I'm great, Zeb. Good morning to you, and thank you for having me on this morning.
Well, it's a treat to have you on the air. Give us a little background on Jack Johnson. Who are you?
Well, you know, we bought our place over here on the east end in Murtaugh out in the county about 23 years ago, I think. I've been a law enforcement professional for almost 32 years. I have about 15 years in leadership and public agency administration. I've managed county budgets. I've kept them in check. I do a lot of volunteerism. You know, I've been with the Boy Scouts. I've been a scoutmaster or assistant scoutmaster, cub master, years of doing that. Football coach, volunteer. Currently, I sit on the board of directors for Idaho Special Olympics, which is a cause that's really near and dear to my heart. I've been on there for 2 or 3 years now. Member of Optimus Club, Cattlemen's Association, have been for a number of years there. Worked on multiple advisory groups throughout the valley. Helped build a skate park over in Jerome. Was on a committee for that. I believe that we really need to be involved in our community. Been married to my wonderful bride for 30 years last week. We have 2 great kids. Both are adults now and productive workers in our society.
So what are you doing in your spare time?
Well, you know, the plate gets a little full sometimes. Yeah. I've had to give up a couple of things to pursue, you know, when I was asked to join the board of directors for Idaho Special Olympics, I had to give up a couple other things on my plate just because I felt that was a little bit higher priority.
You know, I'm going to ask you if you can hold your hand still on that mic base. Oh. It's real sensitive and it makes all kinds of noise. All right. Jack, okay, all this being said, I know you're really community-oriented and really public-oriented to help other people, and I respect that. But why in the world would you want to throw your hat in to be a county commissioner? That can be a thankless and a very kind of a negative world you're trying to jump into. Why do you want to be a county commissioner?
You know, I think I bring something to the table for our community. I think that we need to have elected officials that are part of our communities. You know, I represent District 3, which is the east end of our county here, but I think you need to be connected across the county because you represent every citizen in this county regardless of the district you're in. Right. I don't feel that we've gotten a lot of that community representation in the past from our elected officials, from the commissioner's office. It's a tough, thankless job. So is law enforcement. I've been doing that for almost 32 years as a deputy sheriff, and you know, that comes with the territory. It comes with public service, and you know, I think if you're open and in the community and meeting with our citizens, that'll make that job maybe a little easier.
Jack, let me ask you this: now, what area of Twin Falls County are you basically running for representation?
Well, District 3, which is our district over here, runs, you know, it's kind of goofy. They redrew those legislative districts a few years ago. Yeah. It comes down Blue Lakes by the Prime Bridge. It comes south a little ways. Then it cuts over somewhere close to Madrona, heads south again, then cuts back south to Blue Lakes again, and continues straight south out there. It's a large district. They do that based on population, so that's why they redrew it and extended ours further west.
Why do you feel that there's a need for your expertise and your talents on the county commission? What do you think you can bring to the table, and what are you going to hope to solve or cure?
Well, I don't know necessarily solving or curing anything. You're one of 3 board members. Some of the things I would like to do is, you know, we have a 3% tax that's put on our citizens every year. State law allows that. Maybe there's a reason why we do the max tax cap every year. If there is, I'm unaware of it, and I need to be educated on why we're raising taxes 3% every single year, why we're not looking at 1 or 2% on some years. I think, some of those things come to the table. We have a comp plan that's 9 years old for Twin Falls County. I have heard nothing on plans to get that updated. We need to, by law, that has to be updated every 10 years. And I think that we should be in the process of getting a citizens committee and business and people involved in that to start updating that. Twin Falls County does not have a strategic plan to accompany that comp plan. I think we need to have a strategic plan in place to accompany that so that it identifies the goals and provides a mechanism for reaching them.
I've always thought, now you're going to probably laugh at me when I say this, but I had a really good conversation with my neighbor, as a matter of fact, yesterday afternoon. And we were talking about city politics, county politics, etc. And I've always thought that people that live within the confines of the city, any city, really, they don't understand what the needs and the necessities are for the county in general. And I'm almost I've got a negative attitude against their voting for someone in the county. Do you share my same feelings?
I don't know 100%. I do know that I've got an agricultural background. I grew up on a ranch. I have a little different way of seeing things and looking at things than somebody that probably lives in the city. I think we need to educate each other on the different processes. Your county commissioner represents everybody in the county, even the people in the cities. However, cities have a different governing board to direct their business.
That's right.
And we need to let them do their business as much as we can, unless there's something illegal or unethical taking place. Somebody's got to step in and do something at that point. But they've got the right to vote. And, sometimes that vote does impact our agricultural side of things.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Agriculture in the valley. It's big. It's still here. It's not going away. And I'm not speaking for anybody else on the east end of Twin Falls County, but little old fat Zeb. I have felt since I bought this place 25 years ago that looking at the eastern edge of Twin Falls County is not there. Some of the services are not there. Some of the representation is not there. We need a county commissioner from this area that really understands what's going on instead of just lip service.
Right.
Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. I live on the far east end of the county. I don't live close to the border of Twin Falls. And I agree 100%. I think we need involvement over here. I think we've lacked that in the past. It seems like the only time I've seen any county commissioner, let alone the ones that we've elected in our district over here, was during a handful of special events during an election year, and we should be seeing and have that involvement year-round from our elected officials.
What's it going to take to make this county bigger and better and grow? I mean, what about agricultural and economic development? I mean, what are you looking at? What do you want to try to accomplish as a county commissioner?
That's really a double-edged sword. And I think we really need to have some partnerships with our municipal government partners so we can help manage that growth and balance that growth between economic development and agriculture.
Right.
Right now, from an economic development standpoint, Twin Falls literally is outgrowing its workforce. If you go into about any business in town in Twin Falls, you see help wanted or now hiring signs. And, that probably doesn't mean that we don't have a workforce that can work for whatever reason they've chose not to. Maybe it's generational, maybe it's, some other cause, but those jobs aren't getting filled. You talked a little bit about, we are a strong ag-based county. The reason that we've done so well through some of the nation's woes around the nation is because of our agriculture, and as well as we've been able to uphold that.
Do you feel, Jack, and my wife and I were talking about this the other day, that I moved out here in 1969, And let's just say that the cowboy, the farmer, the cattle buyer reigns supreme. And every Wednesday, like at the sale day, I mean, you could see trailers all over Twin Falls. And people that were business people at that time during those decades really appreciated the cowboy boots and the hats coming to town. We've seen a transition, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
Not only here, but across the board in our society, to where there's been kind of a changing of the guard, if you will, and people, maybe agriculture is taking second or third place. Do you feel that way, or am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. I think a lot of emphasis is placed on it seems like more of a big business economy. Yeah. Personally, I think we need to rein in a little bit of that or slow that down a little bit. I'm all for promoting small business. I think that that's your mom and pop family operations. Amen. And a lot of our farms are small business operations. Yeah. And, I think we need to promote those. The hard part, the really tough part, it comes in, Zeb, is, you've got 240 acres of farm ground. And you're ready to retire, and the kids don't want to do it anymore, and leasing that ground out doesn't pay the bills for you to be able to retire. Your options are pretty limited. Right. And, I don't think it's any elected official's probably right to tell somebody what they can privately do with their property, specifically on a sale. So I think sometimes people get backed up. They end up selling that property to a developer because that's the only way they're going to be able to retire. And then now that farm ground gets ground up and turned into something else. And
you mentioned a few moments ago the workforce. Now, do you have any ideas on how to supplement or create a better workforce and more available people that could hire and be available for various jobs? I know what you're saying is right. I've talked to plumbers that are saying, holy smokes, I might be able to get there in 2 or 3 weeks. There's not enough of us. I've talked to electricians. There doesn't seem to be enough people in the trades right here locally. How do we stimulate a workforce?
And that's probably a good question. I don't have all the answers on that, Zeb. I know one thing we've got to do is be able to keep a workforce here, that's right. And I think there's a couple of things in progress that are going to help keeping the next generation here in the valley. One of the downtown revitalization in Twin Falls, I think, is great. It's offering some really neat things down there. It gives people an outlet to do some things on Friday and Saturday evenings and Wednesday evenings and things like that during the summer. There's a push for an event center over in Filer. If that's done the right way, I think that might help keep some of our kids here, specifically our ag-oriented kids that are involved in FFA and different programs like that. I've heard that we have the state FFA convention every year in Twin Falls County. I've heard that they're maybe starting to look for another outlet because we're outgrowing. We can't accommodate the amount of kids anymore for that, and I would hate to see, if that's true, I would hate to see that state FFA convention move somewhere else, especially as ag-oriented as we are here. So, I think there's a number of things, but it's not an overnight fix. I don't know. I don't have all the answers on that, but I'm willing to talk to people and work towards a solution. Right
there is what I wanted to hear you say. You're willing to talk to people, and along with being willing to talk to people, you have to kind of just basically clear your slate, your calendar, and try to be available, whether it's going to different city councils or whatever, or town hall meetings, and that's something, do you think, has been overlooked?
It most definitely has. You'll notice on my brochures and my little cards I hand out to everybody, and everybody I talk to, one of the things that I have said all along is that, one, I'll work with our city councils, our citizens, and our business people to form strong relationships so we can work towards solutions. One way to do that, I believe, is to have town hall meetings. And I will have town hall meetings, and I'll invite our legislators. I'll invite, anybody else that's in a decision-making capacity to come to those so that we can try and get, there's more than likely going to be some egg throwing during that or at the beginning of it. After that's all done, let's work towards some solutions. Let's listen to what our people have to say, how things are affecting them or affecting affecting them, and let's work towards some solutions.
You know, right there is the key, is that a lot of times people will go to a political rally or they'll listen to a political candidate, and he'll provide the lip service of different items that they want to hear, but the follow-up is lacking.
Right. And in a town hall meeting atmosphere, I don't think I'm not a person that's going to stand up and tell everybody all of my great ideas or anything else, because my great ideas really don't matter a lot, Zeb. I want to hear what people have to say that come to that town hall meeting. I'm there to listen. And at the end of that, let's take that back to a table and see if we can find some solutions to help out some people or to ease some burden somewhere.
Let me ask you this. After the weather, I've got a 60-second weather forecast here, but tell me, what are some of the major complaints that you've been hearing in the county that you'd like to help settle? So we'll get back to that in just a moment. Right now, our weather is brought to you this hour by Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company CPAs, and believe me, they've got offices in Burley and Rupert, and the best, serving you with tax return preparation, business consulting, bookkeeping services, payroll services. They know and they can help you. They've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for over 50 years. Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company. You be sure and give them a call today. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here is your weather as we hit midweek, and it looks like it's going to be nice as we head on into the weekend. Partly cloudy skies for today, high of 54 tonight, low of 36. Going to be slightly breezy, winds out of the west right around 12 miles an hour. Now, for the overnight lows, you still might want to consider covering your veggies because of the threat of frost if you haven't pulled your garden yet. Tomorrow looks like partly cloudy skies, high of 56, overnight low of 35. Friday, sunny and 65. And for the weekend, looks like sunny skies, highs are going to be in the low to mid-70s. That is your weather for Zeb at the
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. Brought to everybody this hour by the best, Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company CPAs. And again, located at 1710 Overland in Burley and 620 5th Street in Rupert. It's the end of the year. You better make sure you've got a good CPA. May I suggest to you, Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company. We're on the air with a man that's running for Twin Falls County Commissioner, District 3, and that's Jack Johnson. We're neighbors over here on the East End, but Jack's the kind of a guy that he wants to serve anybody and everybody that's within his district and try to do the best job possible. But what are some of the problems that people are voicing to you about what they're concerned about or they've got ill feelings about?
You know, it differs a little bit in different parts of the county. In Buell, you know, they've got the Seneca plant or Old Green Giant plant over there sitting vacant, which is a definite problem for growth and economy in the Buell area and jobs. You know, you get to Twin Falls, there's a worker shortage in Twin Falls. There's a lot of concern about our aquifer. You know, I think Twin Falls County's done a pretty good job getting regulations and policies in place on management of CAFOs and future development of CAFOs. But, you know, we've got some big businesses coming in that are pulling a lot out of the aquifer. And you know, that's a concern, maybe not for us, but for future generations. I think we need to be cognizant of that. You know, you get over east, Hanson, the schools over there, you know, they can't pass a bond, you know, to help out the schools over there. It's kind of a tragic situation. We get over here on our end of the county, and people want a little bit of growth over here. You know, we've got a subdivision that's just all of a sudden blowing out at the seams over here. We've got two brand new schools to accommodate our kids and the future of our kids over here. So it kind of varies across the county where you're at. Kimberly is in a mode where they've got to decide if they want to continue on their own path or if they want to, become that bedroom community to Twin Falls. They're wanting to develop out towards Red Cap Corner, and you know they've got problems there for water and sewer out that way and development, and so. You know, it varies across the county. Then we've got our ag people that are worried about ag futures too. So.
Have you had a chance to visit with other county commissioners in other areas? Not necessarily right here in this area, but like maybe in Jerome or over in the Mini-Cache area, whatever. Have you had a chance to say, hey, is this problem dominant in your area, and what have you done to solve it?
I know, from my work experience in law enforcement, I have talked with commissioners over in Jerome County, and I have seen, in Jerome County, a lot of the problems are the same. It's, how do we manage a workforce or keep a workforce here to fill jobs, growth, population needs. One thing, Idaho Power's projection for Twin Falls County by 2025, we're looking at almost 20,000 more people coming in here in the next 9 years.
Yeah.
And that could be 30,000, maybe it's 10,000, but they're usually pretty accurate on their projections. And we've got to start planning with a comp plan and a strategic plan to accommodate that growth.
What about, let's talk a little bit about police protection, or more specifically, the county sheriff's office. I have been critical of the law enforcement out in this area. I've been very critical of a lack of law enforcement on the highways and byways, for we have an excess of speeding, and really, evidently, these people that took a test for their driver's license, they didn't understand that a double yellow line means don't pass. But, we have called, and it seems like the officers are just absolutely overworked and overwrought, and sometimes for as big a county as this is, only 3 deputy sheriff's officers. I mean, it just doesn't seem like nearly enough.
Yeah, and in talking to some of the deputies and some of the staff at the sheriff's office, that's what I'm told. Sometimes there's only 3 deputies on. I don't know why that's the case. I don't know if it's a staffing situation or a scheduling situation or what exactly is going on. I do want to find out a little bit more on that, if I'm fortunate enough to take office. One thing, if we don't have enough deputies, I started with the Twin Falls Sheriff's Office in 1985, Zeb, and we used to work the county by ourselves, at nighttime, many shifts by myself. The problem is times have changed, and we can't rely on that. We have more community needs, and people need more police presence now than we ever have before. So we need to address that. It's going to be up to the sheriff to bring those requests in and justify those requests. And you know what? If we need to add manpower to keep our community safe, and we can do it in our budget, and we can find the money somewhere else to do it, we need to take a serious look at that. Law enforcement is one of the biggest driving factors, for people wanting to stay in our community, is knowing they have a safe community to live in.
And over here, wouldn't you agree with me? And again, I'm being very prejudiced in my thoughts here and very opinionated in favor of our position. From the viaduct east to the county line, a lot of people, not just me, by any means, have voiced hey, we're kind of like out in the hinterland and nobody seems to really care. Have you heard that also?
I've heard it from people, and I can tell you sometimes that's true, sometimes it's a misnomer. A lot of times, patrol cars, they may not drive by when you're looking out the window, or whatever the case may be. And so, a lot of times, you'll have a presence and not know about it. But, I live on a fairly secluded road, and I see, probably at least 3 times a week, I'll see a patrol car coming to Murtaugh along the old highway or something, Okay. So, I'm not going to say that's absolutely not the case. I do know that they have tried to increase their presence in our area, as well as over in the Castleford area and Rogerson and Hollister further down south. Our far outlying communities, we can't forget about about them.
Yeah.
And we've got to stay involved.
Is it all about budgets and money? Is that basically the bottom line?
Well, when it comes to manpower, when it comes to adding other, more county employees, whether it's the sheriff's office, the treasurer's clerks, planning and zoning, whatever the case might be, it does come down to budgets, and is the money there, to fund these positions.
I've only got a couple of minutes left, Jack, but go ahead and tell me, a voter, why I should vote for you for county commissioner.
Well, I think I bring a different generation to our county commissioner's office. I have 32 years of public service. I am involved any job I've, it's always been law enforcement. Other than when I was younger, it was ranching and ag. But, I've always been involved in the community at all kinds of different levels. I think we need to be proactive in our approach to finding solutions for our county. We need to get a comp plan. We need to get a strategic plan in place. We need to work with our municipal partners to manage our economic growth and balance that with our agricultural needs. We also need to work, with our other elected officials, our employees, and find out what problems they're facing and how we may be able to help their jobs a little bit more easier. If we have a deputy out there that's, his call load is such that he can't do any proactive patrol, then we need to look at why is that happening and how can we fix that.
Okay.
So I can keep talking. I'm very community oriented. I want to meet with people, want to hear people, and let's work towards solutions. Zeb.
I'll tell you what, I'm impressed with you. Jack Johnson for Twin Falls County Commissioner District 3, and I got to do a good word, and then we're going to have a word from Senator Crapo in just a moment. But don't run away. I'll talk to you during the CBS News. Don't forget Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, holy buckets. Don't forget there's still time to get those trees trimmed before the snow and the cold. Don't forget it's time. You better put in a new sprinkler system or revamp your old one. Now's the time. Don't wait. We're going to be blowing out those lines pretty quick. All of this and more, you call Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. Mobile phone 431-8733. Be sure and get a hold of Scott Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service today. We're going to take a little break right now, but leading us up to CBS News will be, of course, Senator Mike Crapo. Well, we certainly had a good visit last hour with our good friend and neighbor over here on the East End, Jack Johnson, running for county commissioner. Thank you very much. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, and, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. We'll have our guest on the program momentarily, but don't forget, too, Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering rebates, I love that word, on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. All you have to do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. I have never had this lady on my program, and I'm certainly looking forward to our conversation. Her name is Abby Johnson, and good morning, Abby. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Where are you calling from, Abby? I mean, what part of the country are you in right now?
I'm actually in Anchorage, Alaska right now.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Share with me why anyone would want to live up in that cold country of Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh, I don't know. I don't live here. I'm just here working. So
okay.
I don't know. It's too cold for me to live here.
All right. Now, Abby, tell us a little bit about your background. I understand you're the founder of And Then There Were None. Give us a little background leading up to that.
Sure. I worked for Planned Parenthood for 8 years. I was a clinic director in Texas, and left in 2009 after witnessing some strange things going on in the organization, abortion quotas and things like that, but ultimately left in October of 2009 after witnessing a live ultrasound-guided abortion procedure where I saw a 13-week-old baby fighting and struggling for his life and ultimately to lose his life. And I knew then that I had been lied to by the abortion industry. I had believed their lies. And I knew that there was humanity there in the womb, and if that was the case, that it had to be protected. And so I left Planned Parenthood in October of 2009. They took me to court because apparently they think it's illegal to become pro-life. But it's not. And they lost the case, and they were trying to get a permanent gag order against me so that I wouldn't be able to speak about the things that I had witnessed inside the abortion industry. And when they did that, when they sued me, it actually made national media attention. And I started just speaking about my experiences at Planned Parenthood. And then in 2012, I founded the organization, and then there were none. And our goal is to get abortion clinic workers out of the industry, so people like me who want to leave but don't know where to go. And we provide comprehensive support for them so that they can leave, so that they do have a safety net, so that they have the emotional support that they need in order to do so. And in the past 4 years, we've had 300 abortion clinic workers come through our ministry and 7 full-time abortion doctors.
Wow. Abby, I can tell you right now, as a father and grandfather, I absolutely salute you and say God bless you for all the trials and tribulations that you've had to go through. Thank you for what you're doing. Let me ask you this. When you left Planned Parenthood, and you said they tried to do everything they could to stifle your voice, what was the premise of the court case in trying to denounce and reject your right to the First Amendment?
Well, they said that they were concerned that I was going to be releasing proprietary information, which, in their defense, I guess they should have been concerned about it because that's exactly what I've been doing for the past 7 years. But the problem is that, I had not signed a confidentiality statement with them. Absolutely free to talk about what I had seen inside of these clinics, inside of the industry. And so that's really been my goal for the past 7 years, is just to educate people on what is really taking place, because they've done such a good job of directing the narrative in our society that, abortions are performed in this clean and sterile environment, and they're all about choice. And what they're not telling women is that, over 60% of women who have abortions feel forced or coerced into having abortions, and that these facilities are failing state inspections year after year for not properly sterilizing instruments, for having expired medications, all these different things that are posing a risk to women. And, they're not telling the general public about that. They're trying to keep that quiet. And so I feel like that's, one of the things that I've really been charged to do, is just to go out and try to remove this veil off of society's eyes, this idea that abortion is done in this safe environment. And, but honestly, when you look at abortion, abortion can never be safe, because in order for an abortion to be successful, the death of an individual human being must occur. And so I just think it's important for us to know what's really taking place inside of these facilities.
Let me ask you some shotgun questions here this morning, Abby, kind of at random. Planned Parenthood is, and I use this term loosely, celebrating their 100th anniversary, and I think it goes without saying, and I'll say it up front on my behalf, I would love to see this be their last anniversary. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's really sad. This has basically been a 100-year stain on our society, and 100 years of dehumanizing the unborn, dehumanizing them so much that we kill innocent life. dehumanizing the women that are coming in, telling them that, they're not strong enough to be mothers and have a career. And I just think that it's that cycle of dehumanization that's gotten us to this point. It's the same cycle of dehumanization that that escalated slavery, that escalated the Jewish Holocaust. And I just think that society has got, I mean, we have got to do something about this. We have got to stand united together and really hold our politicians accountable. We've got to make wise decisions when we vote. And to be perfectly honest, I think that we need to become single-issue voters. I mean, there's a lot of things that can concern us. I'm concerned about a lot of things, but without the fundamental right to life, none of those other issues even matter. And I think it's time that the American public start really thinking about, their votes and how that makes a difference on the lives of the unborn.
Let me ask you this, Abby. Do you feel, with your expertise, having worked for Planned Parenthood and then running away, gratefully, I'm so happy you did, that in this country today, we have lost sight of respect, not only for the newborn, but also for our seniors? I said the other day on my program, and I'll stand behind it, that we are living right now on the brink of being a hemlock society with no value for life. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I absolutely agree. And that makes sense because, when you devalue the most vulnerable in our society, you will begin to devalue other populations of people in society. And so we are now seeing this across the country. We're seeing, states, George Soros and, his group are going state by state, funding these different campaigns to make assisted suicide legal. And who is that targeting? That's primarily targeting the elderly. And so we're going to see that, this is National Down Syndrome Awareness Month, and over 90% of women who get a Down syndrome diagnosis in the womb abort their babies. So the differently abled, they're also another population of people who are being targeted. And it's really actually very eugenic, in nature, just to think about, well, we don't want to have this type of people because they're different and they're a drain on society, and so we're going to kill them. We don't want to have the elderly because they're a drain on society, so we kill them. We don't want to have, now we're in the age of designer babies where people want their babies to have a certain color hair and a certain eye color. It's all very Aryan, all very Hitler-esque, and that's, in actuality, the society that we're living in right now.
A couple of years ago, it's been about 7 years ago, on this program, Abby, I had the nurse in Chicago that was supposed to aid and abet partial birth abortions. And she brought me to tears on this program, talking about partial birth abortion and the absolutely heinous acts of taking those babies, and if they were still alive, putting them on a gurney and just kind of pushing them into a closet until they expired and died. And the coldness of the partial birth abortion and the way she described it. At the same time, Barack Obama was underwriting and advocating, yes, for partial birth abortions. What is the matter with this administration in the past and what we might see coming up in the future, that they do not have a value for life?
Well, in fact, Barack Obama was the only senator to vote for partial birth abortion, not once, but 4 times. And yet now the American population has elected him twice to be our president. And I think one of the things, like I said earlier, I think one of the things that we've got to get back to is we have to get back to the value of life in the voter booth. And, we're worried about the economy. I'm worried about the economy too. But let's be honest, we wouldn't be in this economic decline that we're in if we hadn't aborted 58 million babies over the past 4 years. And all of the problems that we can look at in our society are essentially, I believe, linked back to the destruction of innocent human life. And so we have to take that into consideration whenever we go to the polls. But, I mean, we did it. The American public voted this man into office. And we did it twice, not just once, but twice.
We have a caller with a question for you, Abby. Go ahead quickly, caller. You're on the air. Thank you.
You know, if you were to go anymore, it seems as though a college-educated student doesn't know, I don't know what they know, but they don't know much, it seems. And, you know, if you were to interview 50 of them, I bet 40 of them may not even know what partial birth abortion is. And what a completely unbelievable, barbaric act it is. And so if you don't know what something is, you can't have an opinion. And you see, this is the problem. It seems as though our society, through the education system and through willful ignorance, is so dumbed down, it just scares the hell out of me. I'm hanging up. Thanks.
Abby, respond to that caller, please.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely right. Alliance Defending Freedom did a survey and found that 50% of Americans didn't even know that Planned Parenthood performed abortions. And, you know, I feel like what he said is right. Part of it has to be willful ignorance. You know, but 1 in 3 women in this country are having abortions. So women have to know where to go and get these services. But the fact that 50% of Americans didn't know that Planned Parenthood is our largest abortion provider in the country was really astonishing to me. But I believe that we do have to start educating people on these things. And, you know, to be honest with you, partial birth abortion is heinous. But abortion on a baby at 9 weeks is just as equally heinous.
Yeah.
And I could go into, you know, a graphic description of what that is, but I won't. And, you know, abortion at 12 weeks, equally heinous. And so, you know, we have to start fighting for life at the moment of conception.
Absolutely. You know, let me ask you this. Why do the Democrats and why do liberals, the minute like I've got on my program and I have asked for the closure and the non-funding anymore for Planned Parenthood, and oh my goodness, they come out of the woodwork. Why, they're needed. We absolutely have to have Planned Parenthood. Please tell me why we need them at taxpayer expense.
So the truth is that we don't need Planned Parenthood at all. We will survive without Planned Parenthood clinics. People will be able to get health care without Planned Parenthood. So in the United States, there are about 700 Planned Parenthood clinics nationwide. There are over 13,000 federally qualified health centers that see men, women, and children for comprehensive health care. They particularly serve low-income, underinsured, or uninsured persons. And that 13,000 does not include rural public health centers, hospital health systems. It doesn't include county health departments. It doesn't include the over 2,500 pregnancy centers across the country that provide some form of medical care for women. And it doesn't include the tens of thousands of private physicians who accept government subsidy programs like Medicaid. So we're talking about 700 clinics compared to tens of thousands of providers for women. We absolutely do not need Planned Parenthood clinics around, and if they want to remain open, then they need to figure out how to fund themselves.
Absolutely. Caller, go ahead. You have a question for my guest, please. Go ahead. Evidently, they hung up. Abby, what about your organization? And then there were none. What are you doing, or how are you trying to construct an offensive against Planned Parenthood?
So we are proactively reaching into abortion clinics. We are getting workers out. We are providing comprehensive care for them. And then these workers, in turn, many times are turning around and doing what they can to shut down their former places of work. They're shutting down their clinics. They're bringing lawsuits forward, you know, talking about Medicaid fraud, you know, different patient negligence cases, state medical board complaints. And this is, you know, a group of people that I think have not been heard from previously sort of en masse. And now we are hearing from them. We've had over, 300 workers come to us in the past 4 years. People are coming to us now, almost weekly. People want to get out of this business. They're seeing the corruption, and when they leave and when they begin their healing, many times part of their healing process is speaking out about what they have witnessed inside the industry.
Abby, what about your book? I really want you to highlight your book and what it centers on, and where is it available? Give us that information, please.
So I have 2 books available. My first book is called Unplanned, and it chronicles my life inside and outside of Planned Parenthood. And then I also have another book that came out this year, in March of this year, called The Walls Are Talking, and it is a compilation of stories from abortion clinic workers who have come through our ministry. It's a very difficult read, but I believe for anyone who cares about abortion and this issue, it is a necessary one.
Okay, real quick, we've got another caller, but Abby, where is the book? Can it be obtained at all major bookstores?
Yep, you can get it at any major bookstore. Amazon probably has the best price, honestly.
Okay. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go, please.
Yes. As far as abortion is concerned, if it becomes a normal thing as they're trying to force upon us, the next thing will be euthanization of the elderly.
All right, caller, thank you for your opinion on that, and I'll have Abby respond. I agree with the caller, Abby. Do you?
Yes, absolutely. And it's like I said before, we will begin to dehumanize one group of vulnerable people, and we will just begin to dehumanize others. And we're already seeing George Soros and his movement of assisted suicide, moving across the country in the more liberal states, and I think we're going to continue to see more of that.
Abby, I'm going to come out and make just a blunt statement, and you can say yes or no, or you'd rather not comment on it, but I will say this. I am very afraid for the sanctity of life in the future for this country. I am extremely fearful of Hillary Clinton. What are your thoughts?
I agree, and I think people need to really take that seriously. I actually worked for Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2008. I know what a Clinton campaign looks like. I know what a Clinton presidency is going to look like, and it is terrifying for those of us who value life. And so, like I said, I mean, no matter where people stand on these other issues, they have got to vote for life first. That has to be our primary concern whenever we go to the polls.
You know, Abby, it's been a refreshing attitude and atmosphere having you on the air, a person that honestly saw the light and is really reaching out to tell everybody about the value of life. I just can't thank you enough for taking the time to come on this program, but I certainly hope you'll come back again in the future. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. I would love to come back on anytime.
All right. Thank you. Abby Johnson, the founder of And Then There Were None. And she is a former Planned Parenthood director and literally saw the light, saw the heinous attitude and actions of Planned Parenthood, and left. God bless her. I had a hard time getting through that. The value of life in this country. You know, I do a lot of work with the senior center. Okay, I really care about our seniors, their quality of life, or the lack of quality in their lives. And I care about whether they get a meal. I care about how they're treated. And on the other side of the spectrum, it really just drives me to tears thinking about babies being killed, stabbed in the back of the neck on an operating table gurney, not dying at that juncture, and being pushed into a closet until they expire. And this President Obama advocated that as he was a senator in Illinois. And Hillary Clinton is even worse. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Once again, I want to remind you about our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. They've got everything right there for the beautification and the comfort of your home. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. They've got all your flooring, all your carpet, I mean everything. And they've got dining room sets at prices you cannot afford to pass up. And don't forget, too, they've got all your recliners and your mattresses, bedroom sets. My goodness, the list goes on and on. What a store, what a nice group of people. At Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. You tell them Zeb sent you and get in there and visit with them today. Real quick, I want to remind you the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function, frightfully wonderful, is coming up October 27th with my remote broadcast over there at 8 o'clock till 11, but earlier at 7 o'clock, don't forget they're going to have that ghoulishly delicious breakfast served from 7 to 10, and Crete candy is on sale right now for Halloween. You got to get in and check that out. It's really something. T-shirts on sale for the Pumpkin Function, $15. Please remember this. All the net proceeds go to the Meals on Wheels. So please be supportive of the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function, October 27th. We're going to send it back over to our main studio. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you. We've covered a wide variety of topics this morning, and one of my favorite topics with one of my favorite people is coming up next. I've had this lady on the program many, many times, and I absolutely respect her ability and knowledge when it comes to energy, or the lack of, in this United States. And I'd like to salute and say good morning to the Executive Director of Energy Makes America Great, Marita Noon. Good morning, Marita. How are you?
Give me 1 second, sir.
Oh, okay, hurry. I thought she was on the air and ready to go, but hopefully it'll just take a moment and we'll have her on the air talking about climate change and this Obama administration that might, very unfortunately, be carried over into the Hillary administration if she wins, and I hope not. Let's see, what else have we got? Tomorrow I want to remind you on the program, don't forget it's Potpourri Thursday. We got a little bit of everything coming on this program tomorrow, including at 10:30 tomorrow, I'm working on a case in Seattle with the Pacific Legal Foundation, and they're going to say about how renters in Seattle might be governed by the government, that they have to rent to the first person, regardless of qualities or anything else, that comes in with the money, and it takes away any and all power of the renters. We'll talk about that a little later. Wheels, do we have her ready to go?
Yes, sir, we do.
All right. Once again, I'm honored always to have this lady on my program. Energy Makes America Great, and this lady explains it right to the gnat's eyebrow. Good morning, Marita Noon. How are you?
I'm mighty fine, Zeb. Good to talk to you. I'm back home after being in Santa Fe, New Mexico for the weekend for the New Mexico Oil and Gas Association annual meeting.
Well, before we get started on President Obama and what happened in Washington, D.C., what was the general feeling at that meeting you attended? I mean, are they optimistic about oil and gas? Are they optimistic about the future? Or is everybody just kind of sitting there waiting for this election to kind of pan out?
Well, there's a little of both. There definitely is a lot of concern about the election because, as I repeatedly write in my weekly column, the outcome of this election will have a huge impact on the makeup of America's energy supply. And so there is definitely a lot of concern about the presidential election. But regarding the more basic issues, such as the price of oil, I felt like there was a much more positive vibe this year than there was last year. This was my 10th year to attend the New Mexico Oil and Gas Association annual meeting, and I definitely felt that there was a a more positive attitude in the room.
What about, you are excellent in your blog weekly, and boy, you just lay it out on the table, you put it in print that everybody can understand. We've really got some problems with this administration that's still going to stay in power for at least another, what is the amount left, 105 days. And his clean power plan scares me to death. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a big day last week. September 27th was the Clean Power Plan's day in court. And just, and as you said, I try to present this in a way that the average person can get it. There's a lot of in-the-weeds stuff, and I never mentioned that this particular Clean Power Plan is based on, Section 111D of the Clean Power Plan. Of the Clean Air Act. I didn't get into the weeds of it. I just tried to explain to the average person who doesn't follow this stuff like I do what happened and why this is important. And there were three unique historic distinctions about what took place in Washington, D.C. in the appeals court. This is not the Supreme Court. This is the step before the Supreme Court. And this is the appeals court. And the oral arguments from both the defenders and the detractors of Obama's Clean Power Plan had their opportunity to argue their case in front of the appeals court on September 27th. But the three unique things, I'll just list them and then we can kind of go from there, was that first, we'll back up slightly, that the final Clean Power Plan rule was published in the Federal Register a year ago, October 2015. Immediately, more than 24 states and a variety of industry groups filed challenges against it. On January 21, this very same court denied a stay. Now, what that means is, since we're challenging this law, or this rule, it's not really a law, it's a rule. Since we're challenging this rule, we are asking you, the court, to say, okay, EPA, hold off, back off. You cannot enforce this rule while it is being litigated, while we are having these legal challenges. And at that time, the appeals court said, no, you may not have that stay. The rule continues on while you're litigating. But immediately then, the challengers went to the Supreme Court, and here's where the historic nature comes in. When on February 9th, in an unprecedented action, the Supreme Court issued a stay. The Supreme Court basically said, stop, EPA, states, you don't have to continue working on your plans for this because this rule is now on hold. And so that's never before in the history of the Supreme Court have they done this, gone in before the case is heard, has the Supreme Court come in and kind of overridden what the lower court said. So that's one of the big historic things. The other two big historic factors are that the appeals court on June 2nd announced that they were going to skip the normal phase of having a case heard before a 3-judge panel. This is seldom done, but they do have the opportunity to do this when there is a case involving a question, and this is a quote, a question of exceptional importance. So when something is that important, they can skip the 3-judge panel and go straight to hearing the case heard before the full court. So that was historic. The third historic thing had to do with the timing. Normally when a case is presented to the court, it has 60 to 90 minutes. This case was allotted more like almost 4 hours, 3.5 plus hours. However, the judges just really ignored the time frames that they had set themselves. They just blew past those. They were so engaged. They had so many questions of the litigants, the people filing both the challenge and the support. and so many questions among themselves, so much discussion, that this case actually went on for 7 hours. And that's, my sources tell me that they have never in the history of the court seen a case where the full court, all the judges, sat there and heard one case for a full 7 hours. So this is a big, important issue, and those historic elements illustrate that.
You know, one of the paragraphs of your story that honestly, and I'm not exaggerating, left me very cold, very chilled, was this, and I'm going to read it, and I want you to elaborate on it. One of the issues addressed was whether or not the EPA could exercise major transformative power without a clear statement from Congress on the issue. Let me say something here quickly, Marita. The EPA is coming in on assumed powers and absolutely treading and stomping on the American public, whether it's the Clean Waters Act, Waters of the United States, or the energy transformation. I am scared of the EPA, and you just really highlighted it right there in that paragraph. Please, give us a little bit more information on this.
Well, thank you. It is true. It is a very scary element. But this is what the EPA has done, or not just the EPA, the Obama administration has done repeatedly. And they have been smacked down numerous times. I've written on it several times. Of course, I only write on the energy issues. But they've been smacked down on immigration. They've been smacked down on Obamacare. They've been smacked down from the courts many times now for what people on my side of the issue would call executive overreach. That they've gone beyond what they can do. And as I address in my column, that this case of their major transformative power without a clear statement from Congress, they were, one of the cases where they were smacked down is on the Utility Air Regulatory Group, and that was another case. And the EPA, the courts then determined that the EPA could not do that. And one of the judges, who was a Republican appointee, his quote was, "This case sounds exactly like that one." So it's pretty clear that this particular judge feels that way. But I think one of the important things that I brought out, that no one else, no news coverage on this story that I saw, and I read a lot, I study up on this stuff before I write every column. But one of the things I was able to do was to watch a press conference that was held immediately following this hearing. And at that press conference, you had the two co-leads, Attorney General Patrick Morrisey from West Virginia and Attorney General Ken Paxton from Texas. And the two of them were at this press conference, as was Senator Jim Inhofe from Oklahoma. And the only place I could find to watch this press conference, and it's Ken Paxton, AG Ken Paxton's office, who sent me this because I kept bugging them about, is there coverage of this press conference, was on Senator Steve Daines' Facebook page. And I have a link to that in my column. But at this press conference, Senator James Inhofe, I believe, pointed out, and I don't know that this was brought up in the hearing, I don't believe that it was, but he pointed out that the Senate has issued a clear statement on this issue, because really what this Clean Power Plan is all about, it's all based on CO2, carbon dioxide emissions, and trying to reduce carbon dioxide emissions based on the supposed crisis of man-made climate change. But Inhofe pointed out that many times over the past 15 years, this issue of regulating carbon dioxide emissions has been before Congress in the form of what's called cap and trade. And the Senate has repeatedly said no to cap and trade legislation, even when the Democrats held both houses of Congress and the White House.
Let me ask you this, in very simple layman's terminology, I'm looking at this terminology of transformative power. EPA. Transformative power, in other words, getting rid of what's working, getting rid of what's been beneficial for society, getting rid of what has been cost effective, and transformative power would be solar and wind, and buyer beware. Taxpayers, hold on to your billfolds. We're in for one hell of a ride.
You are totally right. This is really about shutting down coal-fueled electricity, because there is not one, from what I understand, there is not one coal-fired power plant in existence in this country that can meet these regulations. Not one. So all of them will have to be shut down, or they will essentially have to subsidize their competition. They will have to pay for wind and solar power to exist, in which case they would get some emissions credits. So it really is transformative. And for anyone listening who has not followed what's going on in South Australia, the country, that's a state. South Australia is one state in the country of Australia, and they have the highest implementation of wind energy in the country. And I wrote on it a few weeks ago because they have their prices of their electricity are twice what the rest of the country is paying. And back during our summer, which is their winter, they had a cold snap that resulted in their electricity prices going up 10 times, from $100 to $1,000 in this cold snap. And then last week, the entire country lost electrical power. It wasn't just one little neighborhood that had a blackout. The entire country, the entire state. The entire state of South Australia lost power in a really cold weather where they had no wind power, and did big damage to their electrical grid. It's important to see this, because this is where a Hillary Clinton administration is taking us.
You know, the very last line in your piece kind of gave me the chills, because our energy stability hangs in the balance. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, all you have to be is an open-minded individual and understand this is lunacy, taking away what works and replacing it with something that's not cost-effective and extremely unreliable.
Right, and that's why I point out this South Australian experiment, and there's a link to my column on that in this week's column. But it does. It is not stable, and it is far more expensive. So it's a major issue. Now, the bottom line here, Zeb, is that what happened in the court on September 27th in the D.C. Appeals Court, honestly, well, I wrote a whole column on it, and I think it's important, and I do believe that our energy stability hangs in the balance, is almost irrelevant, because the presidential election is so essential for this issue.
You know, that being said, I sat there last night and I listened to Tim Kaine act like a buffoon, and I listened to Mike Pence, and I came away with the feeling that the Democrats are just absolutely, their chins are down to their chest, and they're going to run through a brick wall when it comes to free college educations for our millennials, and also really devoting everything they can to supplanting our power grid with the supposed clean energy. I don't know how we can beat them, and I certainly hope they do not get office in the Oval Office.
Well, you and I are definitely on the same page on that. I did appreciate, I said I was Facebooking during the debate. I kept putting comments on Facebook, and my friends on Facebook, of which there are thousands, commented along with me, and I complimented Pence for getting the war on coal in right off in the very beginning of the debate. There wasn't much else brought up about energy, but I was grateful that Mike Pence got that mentioned right off in the very beginning.
You know, what do you see or hear, quickly, I've only got a minute or so left, Marita, but what do you hear from Democrats that you know? I mean, how can they advocate such a plan that would just absolutely destabilize our power grid in this United States? What are they telling you?
Well, Well, they base it on climate change, and in fact, it's interesting. I'm going to write my column probably for next week on this particular issue. That climate change has become a political issue with the Democrats supporting it, and they believe climate change is this catastrophic crisis, and we have to do everything we possibly can to fend it off. Even though even the EPA admits that this clean power plan will make virtually no difference on a global scale.
Oh, my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, this lady really knows what she's talking about, and I look forward to having her every week.
A lot of experts that help me.
Well, God bless you, Marita Noon, Executive Director of Energy Makes America Great. God bless you, and please, next week I'll have you back. Thank you, Marita, and take care.
I look forward to it. Thank you, Zeb.
All right, thank you. Wow, I don't know. If you haven't got anything to worry about, boy, I'll give you a couple of things every day on this program, but you got to get involved. You got to get involved, for heaven's sakes. Don't just bury your head in the pillow or the sand, whatever. It is time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you this hour by Scarro's Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. They are your hometown meat cutter, and oh my goodness, they are the best. For over 20 years, Don Scarrow and the crew serving you with the best of meats at Scarro's Meats. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here is your weather as we hit midweek, and it looks like going to be nice as we head on into the weekend. Partly cloudy skies for today, high of 54 tonight, low of 36. Going to be slightly breezy, winds out of the west right around 12 miles an hour. Now, for the overnight lows, you still might want to consider covering your veggies because of the threat of frost if you haven't pulled your garden yet. Tomorrow looks like partly cloudy skies, high of 56, overnight low of 35. Friday, sunny and 65. And for the weekend, looks like sunny skies, highs are going to be in the low to mid-70s. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, I tell you, she does a great job on that weather. Thank you, Gina. And the weather's brought to you this hour by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. It's true, Don Scarrow and the crew changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. It's good. Let's see. Once again, a reminder, Senior Junction Pumpkin Function, October 27th. Frightfully wonderful. And next Monday, I'm going to have some information on something new that's going to be added to the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function. So you be listening. And as a matter of fact, Catherine and I are going to be talking about that at 9:06 next week. Costume contest, loads of prizes. Believe me, we got some outstanding prizes. And a great big breakfast from 7 in the morning until 10 on the 27th. And crepe candy, you got to check that out. That is the fun candy for Halloween. Different bags, different titles. You're going to love it. T-shirts on sale for $15. Hey, come on, support the whole event. And all the net proceeds go to the Meals on Wheels through the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function for this year, October 27th. Also want to say thank you, big time thank you to our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow, big tire sale going on. Fall of the year, big tire sale. Better get in there today to any one of the 7 locations. All the different tires, all the different tread designs, all the different driving capabilities. They've got it all for you. Now, on sale for your pickups and SUVs, excuse me, frog in the throat, the Open Country MT. Outstanding traction, aggressive tread. That tire will really do the job for you this fall and winter. And while you're there, don't forget, too, the best in brake service. They have professionally trained technicians, premium quality parts, and the brake industry's best warranty right there at any of the 7 locations, along with front-end alignments, shocks and struts, and batteries. Batteries, boy, that's a key right now with this colder weather. You stop in and say hello to Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. As I said earlier, we've got a lot of things going on tomorrow. We're going to have Rita Ramsey here. We're going to have Starving to Death. We're going to be talking to Ken Mort, Minidoka Animal Control. Kyla's going to be on the air with the Chamber of Commerce report, and also an attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation and Cassia County School Days. Holy cow, all kinds of things coming up tomorrow on the program. Right now, we're going to wrap things up in just a second. I want to remind everybody we'll be here at 8:06 tomorrow morning, and we'll ride the horse till about 11 on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and then streaming live on ZebBell.com all across the United States, and for that matter, the world. And remember, the way things were, the way things ought to be. This good word for United States Senator Mike Crapo, and then Wheels will take us up to CBS News. Good morning, everybody. Have a great day.